Hello everyone and welcome back to our In Conversation With series for the Beauty Triangle. Today I am very excited to be joined by oculoplastic surgeon and esteemed aesthetic doctor, Dr. Maryam Zamani, who is also the founder of MZ Skin, the products that we're going to be discussing today. Maryam, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
We are very excited to have you and also to be launching MZ Skin on the Beauty Triangle boutique. So Maryam, I'd love to hear from you as an oculoplastic surgeon a little bit more about the brand and the inspiration behind creating it.
Well, the inspiration actually came from my second child. I developed melasma, not a good thing. So melasma is a pigmentary skin condition where it waxes and wanes, but you get this pigmentation on your skin, and it really makes you feel like you have kind of dirty skin. And I went from being someone who didn't really wear much makeup and loved my skincare to feeling that less confident in my skin. So I love skincare, and I basically started looking for more scientific-led products, which led me to the doctor brands that had started to pop up around the same time. And I started using them. There were some great formulations, but I loved also, I didn't realize at the time, the ritualistic part of self-care that came with skincare. And so these formulations, while they may have been efficacious, didn't really fulfill that part of what I was looking for. And so I went back to the brands that gave me that ritualistic self-care love that I loved. And I created formulations alongside of it. And then it was sort of my husband who gave me the aha moment. He was like, oh my God, there's so much stuff in the bathroom. You know, why don't you just put it all together? And so that's exactly what I did. Not that I was thinking that I was making a brand for other people, but it was really a brand that I was creating for myself. And then from there, I wanted the support, and I wanted a complete but very easy system. So it's rooted in science, backed by clinical trials, but really made easy, but also luxurious in a way that makes you feel happy when you use it. So it's that fuse of science with joy.
I love this idea of what you said about self-care, because often we can just put things on our skin to think that we're dealing with the problem that we're trying to solve, but actually it's a ritual, isn't it? It's making us feel a certain way as well, and taking that moment to touch our skin, massage our face, and yeah, making it more of a ritual.
It's very important. So, you know, I didn't know this. It's only in retrospect that I can see what I was like. But my whole life, from when I think my mother gave me my first Lancome at 14, and every night and day, in the morning and the night, no matter when I went to college, when I was in medical school, later when I got married, you know, the last thing I did at night was wash my face and put lovely products on my skin. And that set me up to go to bed. I did that literally 5 minutes before I would go to sleep, and it would make me feel good. And I didn't realize, you're absolutely correct, that those few minutes of self-care really gave me a ritual and set me up for a really good night's sleep. I've never had a problem going to bed, and still to this day, if I don't wash my face and put my skincare on before I go to bed, I literally have to get out of bed. You know, once in a while you're like, oh my God, I'm just too tired, I can't do it. I literally can't fall asleep. I need to get out of bed, wash my face, and put my products on. So it is that ritual, and it's really a few moments later when you get busier and, you know, you have children and your career and you have places to be. It's the only time that you really can't be doing anything else. It's really hard to wash your face and talk on the phone, or read an email, or, you know, go on to life's admin. So it really is a moment of pause. And yes, that circulation, that little bit of looking at yourself even in the mirror for a couple of minutes is actually
connecting with ourselves again.
Such a big connection.
Yeah, it's so true. I love what you say about taking yourself away from the busy lives actually and spending just 5 minutes washing our face. Sometimes I'm like, I'm too busy to wash my face, but actually it's so important that we do these things. You've mentioned a really important point, and that is the science behind the skincare. Could you tell us a little bit more about the science that are in each of the products that we have here? So we've got the serum, which I love. Not only do I love the product, but I love the way it's applied, because you've got the metal here, so it's really cool and calming on the eyes. Could you explain a little bit more about the products that are in here?
Yes, so this is called the Microtox, and this is an eye serum that you can use, you know, morning and night. It has a little applicator with these 5 little beads so that it has a nice application, soothing application underneath the eyes. So this is something that you would use underneath or on its own, but underneath an eye cream or underneath a moisturizer, depending. And it was created with a blend of ingredients that help to increase the density of the skin, so increase firmness of the skin and help with fine lines and wrinkles, and that's why it's called Microtox. It has particularly some ingredients that go into these fine lines and wrinkles to help relax the muscles, so it's not a Botox, but that it's the idea is that it softens those muscles in the time that it's being used. Of course, it's a wash-off product, so there's nothing long-lasting about that. But over time, it does help increase the density of the skin. It has a very soothing application, so even if you have a little bit of puffiness, it just, with the microcirculation going from in to out every day, and you can also use a little bit on your outer eye, upper eyelid, that helps as well.
And why is it important that we're putting that underneath the eye cream? Because I think this is a lot of confusion as well, which way we use these products, what we're using first.
So always the lightest to the thickest. So serum always before a cream or, you know, a lotion. And the idea is that you're layering. So the area around the eye, people say, do you need an eye cream? But yes, actually you really do need an eye cream, because that very delicate skin around the eye is the thinnest on the face. It also is devoid of the same sort of density in terms of oil glands, and so it tends to be drier faster. It's why you see crepiness faster, and it's also very dynamic. You're blinking thousands and thousands of times every day. You emote with your eyes. You eat with your eyes. I mean, everything happens with your eyes. So there's a lot that's going on there. There are a lot of different blood vessels in that area. There are 3 different fat pads in the lower eyelid alone, 1 on the upper, and then you have your brows. So there's a lot of stuff going on around the eye, and because of the nature of the skin and the density of, you know, the skin, the muscle, and the tissues beneath, you need something that has better penetration and that's going to add a little bit of long-lasting support to that area, because you can't rely on the skin providing it for you. And so you would use a serum. You could use it on its own, but ideally you'd have a cream on top of it, and a different eye cream, and then you continue on. So I usually recommend putting on the eye cream, I put on serum, and then you know, your moisturizer and SPF.
And you say that's morning and night that we should be
You can
using
use this morning and night. So if you use it at nighttime, the impact will be in the morning, that you'll feel that your crow's feet are substantially less.
I need that ASAP.
Who doesn't need that? Everybody can have this in their repertoire.
It's really interesting what you say about this eye area, actually, because I'm always a little bit cautious of using products up to the eyelids and the edge of the eye, because it's such a sensitive area. But also with things like SPF, I know that I don't put enough SPF or look after those sensitive areas.
Actually, that's a very good point, because SPF, so one of the things that I see as an oculoplastic surgeon often in my clinic is people are complaining about having dark circles, dark eyelid skin. And while some of it is genetic, some of it can be, you know, structural, there's actually a lot of UV damage that happens in that eye area, and it's a bit harder to improve, mainly because you have not only you have the eyeball underneath, so you know, a lot of the laser and energy modalities, your eye has to be protected so that, you know, so that you protect your vision. And so absolutely you do need sunscreen going all the way up to the lashes and on your upper eyelid.
I never remember
and
that.
Even underneath the brow. I have a few little freckles that I've treated over time just underneath my brow, and I have one just on my lash line, and I'm like, oh, telling my younger self, why didn't I wear SPF there?
It's such an interesting part to remember.
Or sunglasses.
This is the thing as well. I always remember being told by an eye doctor, wear the sunglasses, because not only for the fact that you can hide your face with them, but also you're hiding those delicate areas of skin from the damage.
Yes, I mean, you're also protecting it, so it protects against that UV damage. Most, you know, good glasses would do that, and so that's actually really important. Big glasses, hat, sun protection. You know, I love the sun, and so, you know, there's a fine line between living life and protecting, but you should always protect the skin on your face and neck and everywhere as much as you can.
Everything in balance.
Everything in balance.
And then I'd love to speak about the eye cream as well, which is something that we're also stocking. Can you tell us a little bit about this? It's a really interesting formulation. It really excites me.
So I'm very excited about this too. So this is part of our placenta range. This is a biomimetic placenta, which means that it's vegan, it's lab created, and it simulates what's inside the placenta that we would have, for instance. And so the idea is you have growth factors, you have stem cells, you have the, you know, the peptides, the amino acids that really support the delicate skin regeneration. And so it kind of jumpstarts all of that. And so you're giving your skin, particularly around the eyes, not only the little boost to create collagen and elastin, but you're actually giving it the building blocks so that you are, you know, jumpstarting that regenerative process. So in skincare, actually even in a lot of things that we do in the office, the idea is, how do we get skin to make more skin as we get older, and that process slows down. And so this is what that does. Of course, it also has wonderful ingredients that hydrate the skin. It has 4D hyaluronic acid. And the other thing that's really amazing about this is it has our proprietary M5RX complex. So this is a liposomal delivery system, and it has 5 different ingredients that hydrate, that brighten, and redensify the skin. So you're getting a boost and increased activation of the ingredients because of that liposomal delivery system.
It's really interesting. So it's not just the products that we're putting on our skin, but the way that they're delivered to ourselves as well.
Yes, because there's a lot of great ingredients out there that we have difficulty getting into skin because the molecule might be a little bit too large. And there are some molecules that we want actually to sit on top of the skin. So for instance, different molecular weight hyaluronic acids, we like the big ones too because they sit on the outside and they give you a little bit of that glowy look, but we also want the ones that go into the skin so that you can have longer lasting hydration and plumping to the skin. This also has the bakuchi oil, which is another substitute for a retinol type of ingredient to help redensify skin. So it's really got a lot of different ingredients that are powerhouses that work together synergistically. I also love this because I think it's the only product that I know of that has undergone testing for the upper eyelids. So you get a 40% visible improvement in the skin on the upper eyelids. So, as an oculoplastic surgeon, one of the things that I see most often for surgical consultation is excess skin, crepey skin around the eyes, particularly can start early, but anywhere from the mid-30s onwards, people say, oh, I can feel a little bit of hooding on my upper eyelids, and this will really help to open that eye. It also helps decrease fine lines and wrinkles. Everyone loved using this. It gives a little luminosity to the skin as well.
I was going to say, the sheen on this product is beautiful. It's illuminating already, but it's interesting what you say about the bakuchi oil because we're often told don't put anything like a retinoid so close to the eyes because it's so sensitive. But actually this is having the impact of the rejuvenation, like you say, but closer to the eyes. That's
you can absolutely use this around the eyes. And actually, I would also say that you could use retinol close to the eyes, but that's for another conversation, perhaps.
Sure, I love this. But it's also interesting what you say about this regeneration, and you're seeing that a lot more in clinic, but also bringing that to the products that you've got in your range is really powerful because we are looking for ways to reuse the things that we have in our bodies, to reuse our own body's resources, to rejuvenate. And
I think that is the wave of the future. So that pro-aging, regenerative movement, I've been a big proponent for, at least the last decade, and I think we're going to be seeing that more, not just in topical skincare and prescriptive skincare, which is what I consider MZ Skin, but also in all the different modalities that we use in the office to complement what we're doing. Now remember, you can do so many things in the office, but if you don't have good skincare, you are not going to have the long-lasting results or the maintenance that you really want to see, stretch your treatments that you're doing otherwise.
It's the homework, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The homework that we have to do, and consistency is key. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to make sure that we're being consistent with this? Do you do any habit stacking or anything like that?
I would say you have to enjoy your product. So if you find joy out of your ritual, then it won't be a chore, and you will not forget to do it. You don't forget the good things in life. It's like I tell my son he has to write a schedule every day. He forgets every single day. But you know what? I never see him miss looking at Snapchat or exercising. It's like because that hits his endorphins in some sort of way. And so for me, again, I think it's that moment of pause. It takes a little bit of time to develop a habit, but if you start doing it, one thing different a day that you want to incorporate, whether it's in your skincare ritual or just your self-care ritual, then that one change, be consistent for 10 days and leave little notes around if you have to. Yes, on the mirror. Door. Yes, exactly. Or a little alarm. Time to do my skincare, Just make it a point to put yourself first. And then once you do that for 1-2 weeks, actually it becomes part of your routine. And if you don't do it, you'll be like, oh,
I'm missing something.
I miss it. So I think that's actually a very important way to be able to incorporate it. In the beginning, it may seem like it's tiresome, but it won't, because the same way that you said that few minutes a day, you wash your face, you're going to feel better. Yeah. It's never going to make you feel worse.
Absolutely. I mean, any time away from the phone is better. So as long as it removes me from devices, that's fine. And finally, the eye patches. Now these to me are a ritual, and getting ready you do everything else, you pop these on, and you can it's habit stacking. You can put them on whilst you're doing other things. Can you tell us why these gold eye masks are so
Okay, so these are
powerful?
multitasking, and you can be multitasking when you use this.
Exactly.
So this is for the busy person. You could use one a day. This is really a way to help soothe that delicate skin around the eyes. It's a treatment. So I love all the things that are going to take time, a little bit of time. Like skincare, consistency is key, but also time is important too. So in order to see the results, while you'll see an immediate improvement in some things like hydration and maybe the way that, you know, the skin around the eye looks, in order to see the long-term improvements in fine lines and wrinkles, you need to give it at least, you know, 4 to 6 weeks.
Is that because of the skin turnover? Is that why?
Yes, and also, you know, it takes a while for those ingredients to work. So in order to decrease a fine line and wrinkle, you have to increase your skin density, and that doesn't happen with one application. Or if you're looking at inflammation, you know, you can soothe the skin, but something that's been inflamed for a long time takes a bit of time to calm down. This, however, is different. You can pop them in the fridge for, you know, 10, 15 minutes. They're cool regardless. They are divine when you put them on. They just make you feel good. You open them and you feel good because they're these gold patches. They're infused with different molecular weights of hyaluronic acid. It has niacinamide, vitamin C, cooling, soothing, and basically what it does is help to hydrate and decrease any sort of puffiness. Ideally, you want to be like relaxing for the 10, 15 minutes you have them on your eyes, but they will stick if you want to walk around or be in front of a computer. And, you know, if you've had a late night and you have another early morning the next day, or you have an important event and you just are feeling not your best self, this is a way to give yourself a little boost of confidence. So the goal here always is, you know, people say, oh, is it too late to start? I'm 50, I'm 60. It's never too late to start. You know, the best time to start is today. So don't beat yourself up. And if you need a little bit of a push, this is something that'll give you that little zhuzh in a moment of need.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the vitamin C is doing in these actually? Because
they help to brighten. They help to brighten, but they also are antioxidants, and so they will help fight oxidative damage from environmental stressors. Obviously, these are also going to be incredibly hydrating. So, you know, when you haven't had a good night's sleep, or you've had a bad night's sleep, or not enough sleep altogether, the skin is more sallow. It's dehydrated. It hasn't had time, you know, to detoxify, which is what we do when we're sleeping at night. And so this is what will instantly give you that little bit of hydration. It also helps to soothe tortuous blood vessels. So we have a big arcade of blood vessels on our upper and lower eyelids. And if you haven't had a good night's sleep, they become dilated and tortuous because they haven't had a chance to sort of calm down. And so this will also help restrict those, so you get a little bit less darkness underneath your eyes too. So they will help to vasoconstrict. Cooling will also help that, you know, just, you know, like cooling devices underneath the eyes. And if you have puffiness, anything that you do that helps, I like to massage them into the eye for, you know, just a couple of seconds. And again, that helps a little bit with the lymphatic drainage.
How long do you recommend keeping them on for? Because I'm notorious for keeping them on for probably far too long. Walk around the house till they're dry.
No, don't wait until they're dry, because then you're taking some moisture. So actually, very important point, you should keep them on for about 10 to 15 minutes. If you leave them on a little bit longer, it's no big deal. They should still be moist when you take them off. If not, you know, the idea is that osmosis, you know, anything that's dry will take moisture. So you want to keep them on for 10, 15 minutes. If you extend it to 20, 25, that's okay too.
You can tell I'm trying to extend this ritual
yes,
as long as possible.
But they're really nice.
Thank you so much, Maryam. That is fascinating. Why, for you as an oculoplastic surgeon, was it important to have these rituals at home? What were you seeing in clinic that needed to change?
So I love everything that I do, and my path to medicine is actually a lot different than, you know, maybe some of the others. I'm trained in the U.S., so I'm board certified in the U.S., and I have my, you know, I'm on the specialist registrar here too. And I think for me, when I moved here, I did some more fellowships. And at the time, I really got inspired by the people that I was working with. I hadn't had too much experience with, you know, dermal fillers, hyaluronic acid in the US. It was really not mainstream yet. This is, you know, in the early 2000s. And so when I came to the UK and we were using them in the NHS for people who had had multiple surgeries or treatments, whether it was for eye trauma or cancers around the eye, and they didn't want to have, you know, the 12th surgery. They just wanted to have incremental improvements in their appearance to make them feel good and confident. And so I started using dermal fillers. And then from there, I was like, gosh, there's so much that can be done. And then I became more interested in skin, and I did a course with Cardiff University in dermatology, which was very instrumental in understanding the skin and the different layers of skin. And so when I came out and I finished all my training, I really wanted to incorporate all of it. But like we said before, if you don't have consistent skincare at home, then everything I do in the office, it's not done in vain, because you'll still see an improvement, but you won't have the optimal results. And then with my own journey in terms of my own skin health and the melasma that I had, I understood that skin confidence, I used to take it a little bit for granted. You know, I didn't really have the odd blemish, but I didn't really have a substantial skin concern or condition until the melasma. And when I did, I realized that skin confidence is really important.
So important.
And so, you know, for me, it was about finding something that filled the gap for me, which was that ritual aspect of skincare, but having, you know, rooted in the science and the clinicals, and to make sure I wasn't just putting something nice on my skin, I was doing something that was going to work for my skin. And I brought the treatments at home because it's so important to be able to have that moment of skincare and self-care. And not everyone has it. You might be time poor, you might be cash strapped, you might have both. And just being able to spend a few minutes at home in the comfort of your own time, it could be when everybody's asleep, it could be first thing in the morning, it could be in the middle of the day when you have all of a sudden, like, you have 15 minutes. But it's a way to be able to incorporate that moment of self, no matter how busy you are. So for me, it was very important. If I didn't, even though I have all these wonderful things in my office, if I don't schedule it in months beforehand, I don't even get to use them. So, you know, and I have the luxury of having it next to me all day, every day. So I really wanted to be able to offer that to, you know, my patients and to people who are not my patients, so that they can experience for themselves the joy of science.
And I'd finally like to ask you about the portfolio of products, because this is just a small snippet of the MZ Skin portfolio, and hopefully on the boutique it will grow over time. But you have lots of things on there. You've got the products like this, but also technologies, which I'd love to speak a little bit about. What are those products doing, and how do they support the topicals that we've been discussing today?
So I've created something that's very complementary, and the ethos behind MZ Skin is to reveal, enhance, and protect. So the reveal is cleansing your skin, exfoliating the skin to give you that clean foundation for all the things that you're going to use to enhance it. And the enhancement is very prescriptive, and it's very target specific. So there are different serums and treatments that can be used for different specific issues. Of course, I have my eye care, which is very important, because everybody thinks, you know, one eye cream can do it all, but actually there's so many different eye issues within eye itself, and that's why it's nuanced, and we have different things for the eye. And then finally, to protect the skin, and it's not just with SPF, which is of course a very big factor, but it's also with the ingredients that help to protect the skin from environmental aggressors and to soothe the skin, so that you're, you know, actively fighting inflammation as opposed to trying to, you know, decrease it once it's already popped up. So all of them are complementary with one another. They are, you know, put into different sort of categories. So I have the placenta range. I have the M5RX, which is that proprietary liposomal delivery system that helps to brighten, hydrate, and also redensify the skin. And then I have a brightening aspect, because for people like me suffering from melasma, which is an ongoing condition.
And really common, right?
It's very, very common. In particular, yes. You know, it's also because we're noticing it more. We're spending more time in the sun. We also have, you know, things in the ozone that have also changed. And if you're a woman with hormones, and whether it's, you know, birth control or hormone replacement, or just in normal before and after and in between, anywhere in between, being a woman right now with hormones is you're susceptible to it. So I think, you know, the idea was to be complementary and to be simple. So if you have a 3-step regimen and you can add some tech or some, you know, rituals at home, then you can actually enhance your ritual. And that was the idea behind it. So the products are meant to be simple. You don't need to layer too many things. I really wanted you to basically have like a cleanser, a targeted serum, an eye cream, a moisturizer, and your SPF. And I feel like if you have those in your everyday routine, then you are winning. And if you wanted to zhuzh it up a little bit with an LED mask, for instance, we have an eye one and we have a face one. It's a technology that has been very personal to me also in its journey. We have a patent on our LED 2.0, which is the face one. And it's the only mask that has the duality of both acne and rejuvenation. But I love LED for all of its regenerative and anti-inflammatory properties. And so, again, it's a treatment that, while it's cordless, you really should be laying down and enjoying your 10 minutes, just 10 minutes of self-care. And not only will your skin thank you for it, but you will feel better for it, because it literally drops the tone of it and all the noise that's going on in your head. So I've tried to make everything complementary.
And also, like you say, simple. We can be caught up in doing so many steps and things and adding things, more and more things. But actually, it comes down to making it consistent and enjoying those moments.
If you keep it simple, you can most likely keep it consistent. If you try to make it too complicated, it becomes messy. You might do it a couple times, and you can have that. You can have like a weekend. You can do
Extended
it and you can have a day for yourself that's spa, and you put a few different steps in there, and you cleanse, and then you do a little exfoliation, and then you do a little LED, and you can absolutely zhuzh it up and make it a holistic little spa. But if you're fast and snap, you're on the go, you can also make it very streamlined, but also with the joy infused into it. That's also why I made it pink and gold,
I always say this about your products. They're so beautiful. I love having these on my shelf because it just lifts the whole of my bathroom.
I hope it makes you smile every time you see it.
Exactly, it absolutely does. Maryam, thank you so much. That was a really fascinating deep dive into all things MZ Skin, but also the exciting things that we're not yet got on the boutique, but hopefully very soon we will do as well.
I'm very excited to be with you and in the boutique, and for you to showcase our eye range, which is my specialty. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Maryam, and thank you everyone for joining us today. We hope that you've enjoyed that fascinating insight into MZ Skin, and we will be back soon with some more information. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.